This segment is brought to you by Preszler Law Firm, helping accident victims since 1959.
Morning, everybody. Some beautiful blue skies, -3 right now, 9 the high. Later today, we could be seeing some showers a little later this morning as well. Whether they're the result of speeding, braking suddenly, or driving away before passengers have taken their seats, falls on buses are the most common reason for getting hurt on public transit. But who's responsible? And what do you do if you do get hurt? Here to answer those questions is personal injury lawyer John Philp from Preszler Law. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me again.
So let's go through the scenario sort of step by step. Although it does make a big difference, as you were explaining just earlier to me, whether the bus just slams on the brakes and you fall or actually hits something and you're injured.
There's a big difference. We get dozens of these types of cases a year at our office. Sometimes we can help people, sometimes we can't. If there's a collision in these types of situations and you're injured because the public transportation vehicle has collided with someone, then you're entitled to what are called accident benefits. If there's no collision, if there's no actual impact, and say the bus just slams on the brakes, which happens all the time and people get injured, you actually don't have access to these accident benefits. And these are really important because they're for medical rehabilitation, income replacement if you can't work, if you need physiotherapy, if you need someone to come help you out around the house. You no longer have access to this.
And those benefits come from whatever transit authority you happen to be traveling on?
Well, it all depends. If you're on a bus and you have your own vehicle, you have your own motor vehicle insurance policy, that's the insurance that would kick in. But if you don't and you're on the bus, there actually has to be a collision in order for these benefits to kick in for you. Even if you have your own insurance, if there's no collision, you don't have access to these benefits.
So let's say there is a collision, you get injured. What do you do in that moment?
Okay, well, the most important thing is to talk to the driver, first and foremost. Get the driver information, make sure you record the route you're on, the time, the location. If police are not being called to the scene, if for whatever reason the bus driver is being dismissive of the situation, typically if there's a collision involved, they're not going to be dismissive of the situation, but this happens a lot if they've suddenly applied their brakes to avoid a car that's cut them off. And maybe they'll be dismissive of the fact that some of their passengers have fallen or injured themselves. So it's very, very important. You have to advocate for yourself in the moment and talk to the driver, insist that they report it, insist that a supervisor come to the scene.
You call police?
You can call police as well, absolutely. Because if you don't do these things and you get off the bus and, I have situations where some of my clients don't feel the pain immediately. They get off the bus and 10 minutes later, all of a sudden their back seizes up. And they haven't done anything about it. And we can't really do much for them in those circumstances because they haven't reported the incident. So if you don't report the incident to the driver immediately, you could have a big problem.
Does this apply to cabs as well?
Well, in these circumstances, it doesn't. Cabs and public transit are very different beasts. Cabs have their own insurance. They're statutorily required to have, I think it's $2 million in insurance to make sure that there's protection for people who are in their vehicles. It's a little different, in the news recently there's been these Uber cabs. And this has been, I think, a big concern for a lot of people, specifically because, if you're an Uber driver or an Uber passenger, what happens to your insurance coverage if you get into an accident?
Right, because Uber, sometimes it's just a regular cab that shows up, but Uber X then is just somebody who's decided they want to do that.
Exactly. And if you haven't disclosed to your own insurance company, let's say you want to pick up a few dollars, you're going to go pick up a fare and, take them to wherever they're going, and you haven't told your own insurance company that you're doing this. Well, technically, you're now... Well, it's a commercial use for your vehicle, which may not be included in your policy. And if you get in an accident, there's a risk you might not have coverage.
All right, John Philp, thank you so much. And if you have any questions about personal law for John and his team, you can visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/morningshow. John Philp, Preszler Law, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to take a short break. It's 10 minutes before 8 o'clock on Wednesday morning. You're watching The Morning Show here on Global.